Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ Dhammaṃ Sanghaṃ Namāmi. So in looking for common reference points, or common reference point in the changing situations of our lives, we're sitting still, moving around, busy doing stuff, being with people, feeling ill, feeling happy, not quite knowing what we're doing, getting into complex mental states and so forth. We say there are two fundamental attributes to that experience. Once you get to the fundamentals, it's much easier to handle it. The fundamentals of experience, one, it's dynamic, isn't it? It's always changing. It's pulsing, it's rushing, it's sluggish, it's some sort of... When I say dynamic, I don't mean it's necessarily zestful, but it's in the nature of being energetic in terms of its raw material. The raw substance of it is things are shifting and changing, things are affecting each other, things are pressing, things are dragging, things are running, things are spinning, things are settling, things are calming, things are arousing, things are stimulating, things are tangling. This is all dynamic, isn't it? It's all the nature of something that moves and changes. Sankata, the conditioned. And then there's this other very fundamental, that's that, you say, the raw substance of actuality. Whether it's, and then there's awareness. It's experienced. It's sensed. Something is open to that. Awareness is like an open quality, an open state, an open space. A reception, a receptivity. So the fundamental properties of consciousness is its jnana. Consciousness of something, awareness of sight, awareness of sound, awareness of thought, awareness of bodily tactile sensations. Vijnana, and it's what we're aware of stimulates. Touches, stimulates. What it touches and stimulates is citta, heart. You can also say that's also awareness. It's aware. It's open. It's like an open mouth, constantly having things poked into it. And it's stimulated as energy moves, shifts, resonances, reactions, feelings, energy shifts. In this realm of direct experience, we're experiencing that. Why I point this out is because this It's simple, and it's actually something you can make changes with, you can manage, and you can achieve or realize peace and resolution through this. In fact, one would say, no other way. And why it has to be pointed out is because, of course, most of the time most people are going to what they think or what they feel, or the description. Things are bright or dark or tasty, juicy, fragrant, new, exciting, or horrifying. We're going to the descriptions of experience. And getting stimulated by that, getting annoyed by it, interested in it, descriptions of experience. And these descriptions are also built into the way that consciousness works. It describes things by creating perceptions. Perceptions meaning their mind, oh, that's Joseph, that's grass, that's sunshine, that's horrifying, that's a war. And these perceptions then land in the citta. Citta, it's stimulated. And then feeling occurs. Stimulation is an energy shift. Is that right? You feel anything at all, something shifts. That's energy. I don't mean energy in terms of power. I've got a lot of energy on, or energy in terms of applied effort. These are also things that occur for us, but just talking about the primary quality of, we could say, life force, vitality. Because then you get down to the raw material. What happens when we feel something? Something shimmers. Something resonates. Something jumps. Something retracts. Closes down. Changes. That's energy. Shifting of energy through the nervous system. And that shifting of energy sends a response. Energy shifts, things get alarm. Energy shifts, we say, oh, it's good. Energy shifts, oh, that's pleasant. And there's a response to that shift. And this response is called sankhara. So it gets activated. We get motivated to either avoid something, or withdraw from it, or try to ignore it, or get over it, or get emotionally react to it, get upset by it, get fascinated by it. All this stuff, sankharas, start occurring. And then the psychologies come on top of that. Psychologies, what I should feel and what I shouldn't feel, how I'm going to deal with my thoughts. As these start, as you get activated, as sankharas activate everything, system gets stimulated, and we start to think about it. Because that's also an energy. Thinking starts running, circling round, trying to figure it out. What we're going to do, what happens next. This is also an energetic formation. So these three energetic formations, the one is a thinking mind called vajji, sankhara, the energy of articulation, that which forms concepts. Those are sharp, quick. Some people's minds jump very quickly, run things out. Sometimes they stagger. Maybe slow thinking, right, racing thinking, stimulated thinking. There's energy there. And then you have the energy of emotion, citta sankhara. Heart is stimulated. And then we have the energy of body, kaya sankara, body lights up. And just contemplating those energies as they move. Normally, of course, people will tend to go to their thinking mind in order to understand things. And that's really just, you can do that, but basically this will only add more descriptions. Thinking mind can only describe things. That's what it does. It's good at that. Forms more and more descriptions. Analysis. Complexities. Webs. Weaves and webs of thoughts and ideas, views, opinions, strategies, purposes, dogmas, beliefs, religions, philosophies. Goes on and on. All descriptions, maps of the world. And maps are useful, but if you look at a map, get a map of the London Underground, for example, that's a transit map, and really useful for getting around the subway, but you try and walk that way, you never get anywhere, because it doesn't actually exist. On the real planet. It's not a map of the real planet, it's a map of where you go. Right? Go from Bond Street to Liverpool Street, just take that, change there, and there you are. Straight line. But that's not actually the way it is. And yet, for our purposes, that's a useful map. Simple, straightforward. Now thinking like that. That creates maps. This and this, and do that, that. Never notice that. You have a plan. Okay, we'll do this today, we'll fix that, move that. There it is, just 2 or 3 simple steps, and then what actually happens? Where's the tools? Oh, who's got the key? Well, the tool cover's locked. It's Henry's got it, hasn't he? Where's he? Oh, he's doing the washing up. Oh, wait a minute. I think he put it there. So that wasn't on the map. And then you get, something's broken. It's broken down. Things don't actually operate on those straight lines. So if you actually, the maps are useful, but if you cling to them, attach to them, what occurs? Suffering and stress. And we've got to recognise that the thinking mind can only produce maps. Some are extremely complex, but they're still only maps, and they're not about the real thing. And yet, the ability to construct those rapidly is highly praised and valuable, to the point to which we almost live on our maps. And we create, even kind of map other people. He's like this, she's like that, that's her position. And we map ourselves. We don't call it maps, we call it character definition. And that gets complicated. When you try to, your mind starts creating an idea about yourself. And that wish to have an idea about oneself. So I can be clear about who I am and what my problems are and what I need to be. Then I need to know how much of this I should do so I could be something other than this. And I can't do enough of this calming bit, so therefore I can't be that. I'm not a sort of quiet, I'm not a happy person, I'm not a cheerful person. Therefore I can't really do kindness meditation. I mean, do all this kind of thing. This is because I'm fundamentally crabby and cranky. It's a constant definition. And it always takes you to this place of incapacity. You're stuck. Once you define yourself, for some strong instinct that wants to define how we are and who we are, and whether we're as good as or better than, or whether we possibly will be in the future, whether we're good enough nun, monk, layman, whether layman people can be extreme enterers or not, whether you can only be this in this tradition or that, is this the right lineage, or would it be better to be in Tibetan Buddhism? You know, maps. And the urge to know that, to get the one that will define you. And then I'll know who I am, and then I'll know what to do. And that's the lure. That's the temptation, that's the lure, that's the decoy. I will give you certainty. Right? And the Buddha was very clear on this. All formations are impermanent, changeable, not certain, unreliable, insecure. There is no certainty. The only certainty is that things change. You know, this is a nice little phrase, we can run it out. Anicca vata sankhara, all conditions are impermanent, everything's impermanent. You take it deeply. This means you can't create a substantial, solid self. You can't be... And there's that strong instinct to want to do so. Then I'll feel I know what I am, what to do. Okay, so I've got to stop doing that, have I? I've got to stop doing that. How do I stop doing it? I mean, I can't do it. I can't stop doing that. I'm the kind of person who can't stop creating a self. That's me. Look, you're doing it again. But it's not you that's doing it. Right? There's an energy there that's weaving it. It's feverish, it's desperate, it's hungry, it's driven. That's not you, that's an energy that's doing it. That's creating this thing. You know, that's behind your voice. The voice that seems so familiar. Because it's coming through your vocal cords or through your thought patterns. It must be me. Well, who's blowing the trumpet? Yeah, the sound of the voice may be, yeah, but who's blowing that? What is the energy that's making those sounds, those thoughts? Yeah? Yeah. Who's blowing the trumpet? And what's the tune doing? Just mesmerizing, isn't it? So you get lost in that sankhara, or there is ignorance, avijja. Avijja paccaya sankhara, sankhara paccaya vijnana. So when there's an obscuration, missing the point, not being in touch, lack of clarity, what occurs is these energies take over and formulate consciousness. How do they formulate consciousness? They formulate consciousness into generating an experience of forms and descriptions, nama rupa, describing things, describing ourselves, describing other people, describing life, describing, and caught in the web of nama. The Buddha likened it to a net. So the world is tangled in nama. So then if we just begin to get that and pause. Because one of the ways in which the Buddha expressed his process, practice, is the stopping of consciousness and the release of the citta. The stopping of consciousness. The purification and release of citta. Stopping consciousness. What it means is that instead of constantly generating more and more items with our minds, our thinking minds, the mano vijnana, the mind consciousness, instead of generating more descriptions that complicate the mix, it just stop doing that as an energetic experience, not a conceptual experience. Right? Stopping is not an idea. It means an energy switches off. Right? So we're dead? No. Doesn't mean that at all. It means that instead of this formulation of a described world of thoughts, of flavours and colours and sensations, which are descriptions, we experience, instead of formulating all that, experience of energy, steadying and returning to citta. Citta is released from forming things, released from that hunger to keep creating something, or fighting something, or throwing its energy around. And the energy then calms, steadies, quiets down. And that can be experienced. Of course, you can think it, and I've just used some words to talk about it. And often in Buddhist descriptions, there's lots of paradoxes because there's a recognition the words can take you so far and then they trip you up. So you have words that kind of end up being tricky, like stopping consciousness. What's going on? Paradoxes. You should know for yourself that there's no self. Huh? Pachatang, know it in yourself, be authentic. Work out your salvation work out your release. Know for yourself, but there's no self. So you come into a quality of intimacy, intimate, direct knowing that has no nama, no person, no personal formation around it. It's just pure knowing, pure intelligence, with no describing a person who has it. We don't need to do that. This can sound sort of esoteric and out of reach, because most of the time we do think and have to think. And thinking itself is not really a problem. It's the addiction to it, the fascination with it, and the obsessive hunger that it picks up. If there isn't that obsessive hunger, if we can understand our thinking as just a description, maps are useful, we can do that. Thinking's no problem, but you don't expect it to be the real thing. You just use it as a skillful means, as a tool. As you know that release is not going to be a matter of thought, but a matter of something that is about those energy shifts, because this is what reality is. Direct reality. Yeah? It's that sense of something touching you. And that stimulation, that's energy shifting. And That covers all of it. It's felt. And there are different ways in which things are felt. Things are felt when sensations occur, when consciousness is stimulated, then there's feeling. Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, mildly. There's also feeling associated just with a shift of citta, such as we feel saddened. Not because of any particular sensation, just that we feel quietened. And the Buddha said, even these right view, the attainment of right view is felt. In a sense of clarity, brightness. When one realizes what one has not realized, that is felt. What happens? Energy which was surging or running or tangled releases. We experience that release of energy. That's felt. It's called felt. We were in a constricted state, a tangled state, and suddenly there's a release, and that's felt. So even the most kind of sublime experiences are registered as energetic shifts. And of course, so notice that. When you get more direct to it, more directly handling energy, you can notice when you get irritable. What happens? When you feel desperate, how that works. When you feel comfortable. When you feel you've done a good job. When you feel frustrated. What happens? What happens when you feel resentful or jealous? Notice that. We feel inadequate. Notice what happens there. When we say notice it, notice where the energy runs, what it does. This way you get a very direct acknowledgement of skillfulness and unskillfulness in this intimate domain. It's not just about keeping precepts or what is allowed or what is socially acceptable. Again, this realization of good and evil was something the Buddha only got on his night of awakening. That was one of his great knowledges, his great realizations. This is what it is. Clearly he knew how to behave himself. So he knew that, what was right and wrong in that sense, but to really intimately know this energy, when it runs this way, goes to this tangled place, tense place. This energy, as it moves, goes to somewhere bright and open. This energy, as it moves, and the energy of goodwill goes to somewhere bright and open. The energy of aversion goes to somewhere tight, contracted. The energy associated with desperation just gets agitated. And so knowing that, with aware of that, recognizing that, not identifying with it. This. What's needed here? What's needed? Handle the energy. Some energy sometimes needs to be just soothed, steadied, stabilized, turned, bring your attention this way. Put energy into caring. Put energy into the heart. This is a movement away from sense consciousness, away from thinking, away from ideas, away from descriptions of what we are and what we aren't. So put energy right into the citta, right into that heart, place where you feel affected. Just bring your energy there. And when the heart feels contracted, tight, desperate, well, how do you bring energy into that? What brings energy into that? This is where it's very important to acknowledge the place of the body, which we associate normally with the physical creation. I'm talking about bodily vitality. Subtle bodily vitality, such as the vitality of breathing, fundamental Buddhist meditation practice. Just to be breathing as this rhythmic, soothing, steadying, opening, brightening quality. So you breathe into your pain, into your agitation, into your frustration, into your excitement, your exuberance. You tangle, you just keep breathing energy into that. Then you don't have to figure out what to do. You don't have to define yourself. You don't have to have a strategy. You just let the energy do it. It's a very straight, immediate approach, and that's mindfulness holds that together. When you're mindful, it means your awareness is now engaged with experience directly. If you're mindful of what's happening in your citta, your awareness is right there, and that will naturally bring this steady energy to it. Because it's not agitating. When you're aware of something, you're not liking it, disliking it, complicating it, repressing it, worried about it, shouldn't be this way, so you're just aware of it. And what happens then? Bringing that quality of awareness when it engages with experience brings the energy of stable presence, present with that, breathing that. And that itself has an effect. Because it's like things all, the citta gets contracted or tangled, you just begin to let that energy move into it, and it begins to, like blowing the crinkles out of a balloon, you could say. It's actually much more direct than I'm describing it, because it sounds like you're doing it, but you don't do it, you just put together what you're feeling directly in your heart in terms of energy, stirred, aroused, excited, perhaps a little bit giddy, overexcited. Okay, now don't just start putting the judgments and the descriptions and the personality onto that. Just that state. Okay, sense your body, what's happening in your body. Be aware of that. Be aware of the whole body as an energetic system. And as you're sensing that energy begins to transfer into your citta, because essentially they're running on the same network. The body energy and the citta energy occupy the same channels, if you like. It's just a piece of language. Just as when you see someone, you feel happy, what happens? Your face lights up. It's not, your toes don't light up, but your face lights up, energy goes there. You don't say, now I will light my face up. It just happens. The body experiences certain citta qualities in areas of the body in a particular way. When you feel frightened, what happens? Your shoulders tighten up, your guts get tight. You don't have to say, oh, now I'll do that. It just happens. The body synchronizes with citta's expressions. The body is a system of expression, expressing citta. Yeah. When you get angry, what happens? Face lights up, because it's important to signal it, isn't it? When you feel embarrassed, you can get flustered and agitated. These are very common, because that's what the energy does that. Now, we can use that synchronicity by having a whole body, or an awareness of the entire body, simple, steady, staying with that, mindful of that, and aware of what's happening in terms of the heart, in terms of citta. That's more or less what it says in the Satipatthana Sutta. You track that. Body, feeling, citta. What's happening? Why is it lined up like that? What's you feeling in your body? Where's the body? What do you feel in it? How does that feeling affect your citta? The heart. Right? Dhammas arise means unskillful phenomena or skillful phenomena, dependent on how you're handling that, how the mindfulness is sitting on that. If it's sitting well and comfortably, then skillful states arise. If it's not stabilized, then unskillful states arise. So that line up, what's happening? Body is feeling something. It feels something, the citta is disturbed. If you steady the body, citta gets steadied. Of course, you've got to bring the two together. That's what mindfulness does. It means when I'm feeling a little bit irritated, annoyed, I'm walking up and down, feet, back, shoulders moving, everything. Energy starts to come out of its grip and loosen up, expand. It just does it. And you begin to notice that when we're in unskillful states, what occurs is you either lose your entire body, all you're aware of is the thoughts and emotions, you're not really aware of body at all, or you just get a very localized experience, like I feel hot in my face and tight in my hands and the rest of my body's disappeared. Right? So this sense of the depleted or afflicted citta, you can sense it as, in an energetic experience, as just a lack of completion in terms of the body. It's a fragmentation. We get passion fragments us, get heated up in the face or the hands or the chest, and bits disappear. You come to the whole body. It's by itself. It's stable. That's what it's about. The body energy by itself seeks stability. Right? It seeks wholeness. So you do something, you finish doing something, you want to sit down, the body, That's what it wants to do. It wants to do its work and then finish. So we energize, we do something, and then it comes back to state. That's the body. That's what bodies do. That's their primary program. Now your mind comes up with all kinds of things you think you need to do or have to do or what other people want you to do. The mind is primarily about what I'm going to do and creating descriptions of it. The body isn't. The body doesn't want to do anything apart from breathe. By itself, it's got no... It was just to sustain itself, breathe and be balanced. When you get up and walk, Your mind wants you to go somewhere, but all your body wants to do is make sure you don't fall over. So it maintains balance. You walk into the kitchen, you've got this picture in your head, kitchen, 9 o'clock, so-and-so, cook the beans, I was going to do that, and by that, and remember we got that, and what's that bird doing, Oh yeah, that's interesting, scatter, that's what the mind does. Fortunately, the body goes foot, left foot, right foot, there we go. And it does that. But because you don't have to tell it to do it, you don't notice it's doing it. It's maintaining balance constantly. Because you're not in your body. But if you were in your body and you were with that experience of balance, you notice that all those descriptions of the beams and how long it's going to take and whether you can do it and what the bird, that would all stop. And you just be walking. And you get there just as fast in a much more wholesome, composed state. It's that direct. You've managed energy. You've managed energy by using the complete fullness of it. Body, heart, and thought. And mostly the aim is to still the thinking, reduce the thinking, just to what's needed. Calm the heart, just so it's alert and sensitive and not proliferating, and steady in the body. So then, but then what's that experience like? What's it like? Balance. Is that a feeling? You feel balanced? Yeah, you feel balanced, but balance itself means the absence of stress, doesn't it? Like if I'm not balanced, it means one part of me is straining to hold the other part up. If I'm not balanced, it means I'm moving forward, or there's an inclination. It means there's pressure. That pressure must sooner or later be resolved. Right? Otherwise it gets painful. And balance means the minimal discomfort, minimal stress. And then that sense of that, then what we experience is a kind of bright, alert, open quality. Energy is now, instead of doing stuff, cooking up stuff, it's just steady state energy. It's just vital, alive. Then we say, consciousness has stopped producing stuff. Citta is released from need to create anything. Awareness is bright. There's brightness. It's not as if you've numbed out or gone dull. The open state is bright, alert, optimal. And this is the norm. Except it's not normal. This norm called the norm of Dhamma, where things are whole and balanced. And from there you can begin to notice this perception, this idea does this. This idea, if followed, does this. This idea, if it's allowed to pass through, passes through. This idea, if sensed, valued, followed, and skillful, takes me to this good place, and then it can be released. This is the culmination whereby we can act and engage. And the only qualities that stay in line with the balanced state are good ones. Because the nature of goodness is it goes to release brightness and follow it through. It's resolved. It's resolved. Can you touch into that? What healthy, bright energy is about. Even if it's not that powerful. I'm not talking about energy as great surging rushes of vitality, just the sense of the heart energy, when it's wholesome. Even if you don't physically do anything, just sustaining a wholesome intention, wholesome mood. It doesn't need anything. It's bright. It doesn't need anything. It doesn't need to be compared with anything. It doesn't need to prove anything. It doesn't need an identity to claim it. And measure it. And ask how useful it was. And whether you can do it again. And whether it's proved you're something or nothing. It doesn't need that. You just follow the energy of the good heart. Opens, brightens, moves to release. So why is such an encouragement for us to seek skillful states? Skillful states are skillful because they do that. If they're held not just as ideas and principles, I'm a good person because I do this every day and I keep this every day and I do my this, that, and that. No, they're not. You can create ideas around them, but that tends to contaminate them. It's grasping. When you don't have this descriptive process, you just enjoy. Enjoy the beauty of one wholesome movement of heart towards gratitude, generosity, integrity, care. These are not esoteric concepts. These are qualities that we probably are very familiar with, but don't actually spend enough time really sensing them. Because we think we've got to do something about it. You know, oh, I mean well, but I can't do as good as he can. I'll try as best I can, but I'm nowhere near as clever as she is. No, it's not about that. It's not about the comparative mind. It's about just experiencing that the loveliness that there's such a thing as good intention. Before it manifests in the world of action, it's there, it's the chitta's opening. And it's even that small that can happen for us. We don't have to be stuck in our descriptions of ourselves. We don't have to keep believing in our histories and our naming processes. And of course, this is the encouragement of the Buddha. Here are roots of trees, here are quiet places. Absorb into this. You know, all that have been taught, I have taught out of compassion. Don't get lost in the jungle. Your thoughts, impressions. So the beauty of this is something like, seemingly as remote as stopping the consciousness, purification of citta, release of the heart. It's actually something quite immediate. We're not talking about eventually after 5 lifetimes I've eroded such some kind of amazing mystical experience where the world disappears. No, we're saying It's much more like the thought is bubbling along, doing this, that and the other, and just go straight into the heart and stop. Feel the goodness of the heart and relax, defining yourself. So to that extent, you're stopping the most important problem, which is mind consciousness. And then what's it feel like when you're relieved of that need to be an identity, that need to measure and have an idea of yourself? Isn't that beautiful? Intimate? Really, really bringing you home? And how all the strategies of the ingrained psychologies of performance and making sure other people, doing enough for other people, making sure we're putting forth the right effort, making sure we're really pure in our conduct, and all the complexities of that. The Buddha didn't teach this for the sake of getting us tangled up in more definitions and comparisons and anxieties and worry, but for the freedom of the heart. And for this we have to touch into the energies that bind it, mesmerize it, fascinate it, and the ones that in moderation of them so they release from the tangling of suffering. And that can be felt. So I'll leave you here. I'll get to the stopping of my mind consciousness this particular time, and wish you all agreeable abiding.